Every small step of progress brings you closer to the person you're meant to be. Success isn't found in perfection. It's found in the courage to keep moving forward. No matter how small the steps, the path to success is built, one imperfect step at a time. How many times have you held back from starting something because you wanted it to be perfect? How many opportunities have you missed because you were waiting for everything to line up just right? It's easy to get caught up in the idea of perfection. We think we need everything to be flawless before we can take action. But what if I told you that perfection might be holding you back, not helping you? What if focusing on progress instead of perfection could unlock your potential and help you achieve more than you ever thought possible? In this video, we're going to talk about why progress is more important than perfection. We'll explore how taking small steps, even when they're not perfect, can lead to greater success than trying to get everything perfect from the start. I'm going to show you why the fear of imperfection is stopping you from moving forward, and how shifting your focus to progress can make a huge difference in your life. So, if you've ever felt stuck because you're waiting for the right moment, or if you've struggled with the pressure to get everything perfect, this is the video for you. We'll dive deep into why it's not about perfection. It's about progress. Stay tuned, and let's dive in. Number 1, focus on small wins and build momentum consistently. When you look at successful people, you often think they have it all figured out, don't you? You see the end result, the polished product, the big wins. But what you don't see are the small steps that led them there. What you don't see is the grind, the small wins they accumulated over time that pushed them forward when things felt slow or discouraging. The truth is, success isn't built in one big moment. It's built in those tiny, seemingly insignificant actions, taken day after day, and those small wins, when stacked up, create a momentum that is unstoppable. Now let's talk about why small wins matter so much. You may have heard the term momentum before, but do you truly understand what it means? Momentum isn't just about energy, it's about progress. Every small action, every decision to move forward, no matter how small, starts to create a snowball effect. This is the key to unlocking long-term success in your life. You see, it's easy to get discouraged when you think you're not making enough progress. When you're focused on big, audacious goals, it can feel like you're not moving fast enough. But here's the truth. Progress is never as fast as you want it to be. But consistency, paired with small wins, is what gets you over the finish line. When we talk about small wins, we're not talking about doing something monumental every day. We're talking about making that decision to take action, even when the result isn't immediately rewarding. You don't need to accomplish everything at once. Small wins are about keeping your eyes on the process, not just the outcome. They're about pushing yourself to take one more step when it feels like nothing is changing. That's how you build momentum. Start today. It doesn't have to be a massive leap. It doesn't have to be perfect. All that matters is that you take one small action toward your goal. Maybe it's writing down a goal, making a call, or completing a task you've been putting off. Whatever it is, do it. Don't wait for the perfect moment or the ideal conditions. Just take that small step. And don't worry if it feels insignificant. Every step forward matters. Once you start, don't stop. That's the secret. Small wins add up, and the more you build them, the more momentum you create. The power of momentum is undeniable. Once it starts building, it becomes easier to keep going. The more you do, the more you can do. It's a cycle that builds on itself. But to get that cycle going, you need to commit to those small wins every single day. This isn't about working harder, it's about being consistent. Success is a marathon, not a sprint, and small, consistent actions over time compound to something much greater. One of the biggest obstacles to progress is the belief that what you're doing doesn't matter. You might be putting in the effort, but you don't see the immediate results. And that's the key to understanding the power of small wins. It's not about seeing instant rewards. It's about knowing that the small things you do today are part of a bigger picture. Just because you don't see the fruits of your labor right away doesn't mean you're not making progress. Take a moment to think about the things that have already worked for you. Think about those times when you did something small and it led to something bigger. Maybe it was a small decision to start a new habit, or a simple action you took toward a long-term goal. It didn't seem like a huge deal at the time, But looking back, it was the start of something powerful. That's what small wins do. They lay the foundation for bigger achievements. Small wins also have a psychological benefit. Every time you accomplish something, no matter how minor, you feel a sense of achievement. This fuels your motivation to keep going. It boosts your confidence and reaffirms that you are capable. It's easy to overlook these little victories, but if you stop and take a moment to appreciate them, you'll see that they're the building blocks of your success. The more you recognize them, the more empowered you become. Another powerful aspect of small wins is that they help you develop discipline. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. It's about making the choice to take small actions every day, even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. Discipline is the muscle you build through consistency, and the more you practice consistency with your small wins, the stronger that muscle becomes. Over time, it will be easier to stay on track and to keep moving forward, even when the path ahead isn't clear. There's another factor to consider, and that's the role of failure. People often think that success is a straight line, that it's a smooth ride to the top, but that's not how it works. Success comes with setbacks, mistakes, and moments of doubt. But if you're focusing on small wins, failure doesn't seem as daunting. You're able to get back up more quickly because you're used to making progress. No matter what, small wins allow you to recover from failure faster because they reinforce the idea that you don't have to be perfect to succeed. It's not about avoiding mistakes. It's about learning from them and continuing to move forward. Think about how much easier it is to deal with setbacks when you have momentum. When you're making progress every day, it becomes easier to bounce back from failure. Instead of feeling like you've lost everything, you'll see that it's just a temporary setback. The key is to not let one failure stop your progress. And when you focus on small wins, you're already in motion, so it's easier to get back up and keep going. Here's another reason why focusing on small wins is so powerful. It prevents you from feeling overwhelmed. Have you ever looked at your goals and felt like they were too big to tackle? It's easy to feel like you have too much to do, and not enough time to do it. But when you break it down into smaller, manageable steps, suddenly your goals don't seem so impossible. Small wins make the task at hand feel more achievable. And when you achieve one small win, you gain the confidence to take on the next one. It's like building a staircase. Each step is necessary to reach the top, and without one step, you can't get to the next. Consistency is key here. It's easy to get distracted by shiny objects, by new ideas, and by the next big thing. But if you truly want to see long-term success, you need to stay focused on your small wins. Don't get sidetracked by the latest trend or the newest distraction. Keep your eyes on your goals and take one step at a time. Keep moving forward, even if it's just a small step. And if you hit a roadblock, don't be discouraged. You're not alone in feeling frustrated, but the key to overcoming it is simple. Keep taking small steps. One important thing to remember is that everyone's journey looks different. Don't compare your small wins to someone else's big wins. You don't know what went into their success. You don't know the effort, the struggles, the failures they faced along the way. So focus on your own path. Celebrate your small victories, and recognize that they are just as important as anyone else's big wins. Every step forward is progress, and when you focus on that, you'll see that you are further along than you think. At the end of the day, it's about building momentum. The more you focus on small wins, the more momentum you build. And when you have momentum, nothing can stop you. Your progress will be unstoppable. Every small win will fuel the next one. And before you know it, you'll be living your life at a level you never thought possible. But it starts with making that first small step. It starts with realizing that perfection is an illusion, and that progress, no matter how small, is always better. So what are you waiting for? Start today. Take that first small step. Focus on your next small win. Celebrate it, and then take the next step. You have the power to create momentum in your life. You have the ability to make progress every single day. Don't wait for everything to be perfect. Take action now, and build the momentum that will carry you toward your success. Remember, small wins lead to big victories. Stay focused, stay consistent, and never stop making progress. Your future is being built by the small steps you take today. Number 2. Start now and improve with each step you take. You've heard the saying, the best time to start is now, and it's not just a catchy phrase. It's the truth. Too many people wait for the perfect moment to begin their journey toward improvement. They wait until they feel ready, until they have everything figured out, until all the stars align. But the reality is, those perfect moments rarely come. And if you keep waiting, you'll keep postponing your progress. Starting now is powerful. It's not about having all the answers up front. It's about taking that first step. Even if you don't know exactly where it leads, it's about trusting yourself enough to move forward, even when the path isn't entirely clear. When you start now, you give yourself permission to learn as you go. You accept that you don't need to have everything figured out right away. What you need is to start. The best way to improve is to begin. It sounds simple, but it's not easy for most people. Why? Because we're conditioned to think that we need to be perfect from the start. We think we need all the knowledge, all the skills, all the experience before we take action. But that's not true. The truth is, you get better with each step you take. You don't improve by standing still. You improve by moving forward, even if it's just one small step at a time. Take a moment and think about the things you've accomplished in your life. Chances are, you didn't start off being perfect at them. You didn't begin with a polished skill or flawless knowledge. You started with nothing but a desire to improve. And with every step you took, you got better. It didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't easy. But you didn't wait for perfection. You started with what you had and improved along the way. And that's the secret to success. Improvement comes with each step you take. It's not about waiting for everything to align. It's about taking action right now. You don't need to know everything, and you don't need to be perfect. What you need is to start. The more you practice, the better you'll get. The more steps you take, the more confident you'll become. Progress isn't a straight line. It's a series of steps. And the more you take, the further you'll go. Starting now means you're accepting that you don't have all the answers, and that's okay. It means you're willing to learn as you go, and that's how real growth happens. Every step you take is a chance to improve, to refine your skills and to build your confidence. Don't wait for the perfect plan or the ideal conditions. Start with what you have. Start with where you are. And as you go, make adjustments, learn and improve. Think about any skill you've learned in your life. Did you start off knowing everything? Probably not. But you kept going, kept practicing, and kept improving. The same applies to everything else. Success doesn't come to those who wait for the right moment. It comes to those who act, who make the choice to take that first step and continue forward, learning and improving with each move. This is where the power of starting now really shines. When you start, you give yourself the freedom to fail, to stumble, and to learn. You give yourself permission to not be perfect. The truth is, perfection doesn't exist. And it certainly doesn't happen on the first try. You can't expect perfection from yourself. What you can expect is progress. And that progress, no matter how small, will eventually lead you to success. Each step you take builds your momentum. The first step is always the hardest, but once you take it, things start to move. You start to see progress, even if it's just a little bit at a time, and over time that progress adds up. The more you step forward, the better you get. The more action you take, the more you learn and the more you improve. There's no such thing as a perfect start, but there is a perfect time to begin now. And here's the most important part. You don't have to figure everything out all at once. You don't have to have a clear picture of where you'll be 5 years from now. What you need is to focus on the next step. What's the next thing you can do to move forward? Maybe it's making a phone call, writing a paragraph, or signing up for a class. It doesn't matter what it is as long as it's something that moves you forward. Here's where a lot of people get stuck. They get so focused on the end result, on the big picture, that they forget to take those small essential steps. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the thought of all the work that needs to be done. But the key is to break it down. Instead of thinking about the big picture, focus on the next step. Every step you take brings you closer to where you want to be. But it all starts with the first one. You don't need to see the whole staircase. Just take the next step. When you start now, you create a cycle of action and improvement. Each time you take a step, you get better. Each time you push yourself, you gain confidence. And each time you improve, you move closer to your goal. It's a process. And the more you embrace it, the more natural it becomes. The first step is the hardest, but once you start moving, it gets easier. I know it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you're not ready. You may feel like you need more time, more knowledge, or more experience. But here's the truth. You don't need more to start. You just need to take that first step. And as you take more steps, you'll learn more, you'll grow more, and you'll improve. But you can't improve if you don't start. So what are you waiting for? The perfect moment, the perfect plan, they don't exist. What exists is right now. And that's all you need. Start now. Don't wait for the stars to align or for everything to be perfect. Just take one step. That's all it takes to get started. It's a simple decision, but it's one that will change everything for you. When you look back on your journey, you'll realize that everything you accomplished started with that first step. That's how improvement happens. It doesn't happen by waiting for the perfect conditions. It happens by taking action, no matter how small, no matter how uncertain you feel. And with each step, you'll improve. With each action, you'll get better. The key to success is simple. Start now. Take the first step. Focus on the next move. Don't wait for everything to be perfect, because perfection doesn't exist. What does exist is the chance to improve, to get better with each step you take. And when you start now, you set yourself on the path to success. You don't need everything figured out. All you need is the courage to start and the willingness to improve along the way. It's time to take that first step. Start now and improve with every step you take. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because there's no such thing. Take action now. Every step counts. Every moment of progress, no matter how small, gets you closer to your goal. Start now and let improvement come with every step you take. Number 3, challenge yourself to make progress over perfection. When we talk about progress over perfection, we're talking about a shift in mindset, a mindset that moves away from striving for flawlessness and instead embraces the power of steady, consistent improvement. This is a challenge. It's a challenge that calls for bold decisions and a refusal to get bogged down by unrealistic standards of perfection. If you want to make real progress, you have to make the decision to challenge yourself. First, let's address the root of the problem: perfection. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that everything must be flawless. We live in a world where success is often equated with perfection. We see successful people, businesses, and projects, and we assume they achieve those things by never making mistakes, by always getting everything right. But let me tell you something. It's not the truth. No one is perfect. The ones who succeed are the ones who push past the need for perfection and focus on progress instead. It's easy to be paralyzed by perfectionism. We think that if we don't do something perfectly, it's not worth doing at all. So we procrastinate, we delay, and we find excuses not to start. It's a cycle that keeps us stuck, locked in a never-ending loop of trying to get everything just right. The problem with that mindset is that perfection isn't real. It's an illusion. No matter how hard you try, perfection will always be out of reach. And when you're chasing something that isn't attainable, you're wasting time. You're wasting energy. And worst of all, you're wasting opportunities. Progress, on the other hand, is real. Progress is something you can control. Progress is something you can measure. And most importantly, progress is something that doesn't require perfection. When you focus on progress, you free yourself from the pressure of having everything figured out right from the start. You give yourself permission to take imperfect action, to learn along the way, and to grow as you go. That's how you make real change. That's how you make real progress. The key is to challenge yourself to shift your focus from perfection to progress. It's not about settling for less. It's not about lowering your standards. It's about setting realistic expectations and understanding that growth is a process. It's about recognizing that perfection is a moving target and you'll never hit it no matter how hard you try. But progress is something you can aim for. Progress is something you can achieve every day, with every step you take. When you make progress your goal, you start to see things differently. You no longer worry about making mistakes because you understand that mistakes are part of the journey. You no longer fear failure because you realize that failure is simply a stepping stone on the path to success. Progress allows you to embrace imperfection, to move forward even when things aren't perfect, and to keep pushing ahead, one step at a time. Now let me be clear. I'm not telling you to abandon your goals or to lower your standards. What I'm telling you is this: don't let perfection stop you from making progress. Don't wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect circumstances, because trust me, they don't exist. The only thing that exists is the moment you choose to act. The only thing that exists is the step you choose to take, right now. If you're constantly waiting for the perfect moment to start, you'll never start. If you're always waiting for everything to be perfect, you'll never make any progress. That's the trap of perfectionism. It keeps you stuck in place, unable to move forward because you're afraid of making mistakes, of doing something imperfectly. But the reality is those mistakes are necessary. Those mistakes are how you learn. And the only way you'll ever achieve anything is by learning, growing, and improving over time. This is why you need to challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to stop striving for perfection. Challenge yourself to make progress, no matter how small. Challenge yourself to take action, even when you don't feel ready. Challenge yourself to fail, to mess up, and to learn from it. Challenge yourself to do better tomorrow than you did today. And most importantly, challenge yourself to keep going. Here's the truth. The people who succeed aren't the ones who are perfect. They're the ones who keep showing up, day after day, even when things aren't perfect. They're the ones who keep moving forward, even when they don't have everything figured out. They're the ones who understand that success isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about pushing through the obstacles, learning from the setbacks, and continuing to move forward no matter what. So how do you challenge yourself to make progress over perfection? It starts with changing your mindset. It starts with recognizing that perfection isn't the goal, progress is. It starts with embracing the idea that every step, no matter how small, is a step forward. It starts with understanding that success isn't about getting everything right. It's about getting better every day. The first step in this challenge is to stop overthinking. Stop trying to plan everything out perfectly. Stop worrying about making the right decision every time. The truth is, you don't have to make the right decision every time. You just have to make a decision. And then you learn from it. You adjust, you keep moving forward. Another key part of this challenge is to take imperfect action. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to start. When you take action, even if it's imperfect, you start to build momentum. That momentum carries you forward, and with each step you get closer to where you want to be. Don't wait for perfection. Take action now, and let progress be your guide. And when you do mess up, and you will, because everyone does, don't let it stop you. Don't let it discourage you. Don't let it make you think you're not capable. Learn from it. Adjust your course, and keep going. Mistakes are a part of the process. It's how you learn. It's how you grow, and it's how you make progress. One of the most important things you can do is to celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Don't wait for perfection to celebrate. Don't wait until everything is just right. Celebrate the little victories. Celebrate the fact that you showed up. Celebrate the fact that you took a step. No matter how small, every step forward is a win. And the more you celebrate those wins, the more motivated you'll be to keep going. Progress isn't about being perfect. It's about moving forward. It's about improving a little bit every day. And if you can challenge yourself to focus on that, if you can challenge yourself to make progress over perfection, you'll find that the results will come. The success you're looking for won't come from waiting for perfection. It'll come from the steady, consistent effort you put in every single day. Perfection is a trap. Progress is freedom. When you embrace progress over perfection, you open the door to success. You give yourself the permission to grow, to learn, and to improve. You free yourself from the pressure of perfectionism, and give yourself the chance to achieve something truly remarkable. So challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to make progress. Challenge yourself to embrace imperfection. Challenge yourself to take action, even when you don't feel ready. Challenge yourself to learn from your mistakes, to keep going when it gets tough, and to celebrate every step along the way. Because when you choose progress over perfection, you choose success. Number 4. Take action and let progress speak for itself. The concept of taking action is one of the most powerful tools you can use in your journey towards progress. Action is the bridge that connects your dreams and your reality. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't filled by thoughts, ideas, or intentions. It's filled by the steps you take, by the decisions you make, and by the actions you execute every single day. There's one truth you need to understand clearly: without action, nothing happens. You can read all the books, listen to all the podcasts, and consume all the motivational content. But if you're not taking action, it's all just information. Information on its own doesn't create transformation. It doesn't bring results. Action does. So why is it that so many people struggle to take action? Why do so many individuals, with all the tools and resources at their disposal, still sit idle and wait for the perfect moment to begin? It all comes down to fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of making mistakes, and most often fear of not being perfect. But I'm here to tell you, perfection doesn't exist, and waiting for the perfect moment will only keep you stuck. Perfectionism is one of the biggest traps we fall into when it comes to taking action. We tell ourselves that until we have everything figured out, until we have the perfect plan, until we're fully prepared, we can't move forward. We overanalyze, overthink, and procrastinate, all in the name of getting things just right. But the truth is, waiting for everything to be perfect is a guaranteed way to never make any progress. Action is the antidote to that fear. It's the key to overcoming the paralysis that perfectionism creates. The best way to break free from the fear of taking action is to just start. Start where you are, with what you have, and make the first move. You don't need to know everything in advance. You don't need to have all the answers. What you need is the willingness to take the first step, to push through the uncertainty, and to let progress speak for itself. The beauty of taking action is that it creates momentum. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in life. Once you take that first step, it's easier to take the next one, and then the next. And before you know it, you're making progress. It's not about having all the answers at the beginning. It's about taking action, making adjustments, and learning as you go. With each step you take, you learn more, you refine your approach, and you get closer to your goal. When you take action, you send a powerful message to yourself. You are capable, you are willing to put in the work, you are ready to make progress, no matter how small. The more action you take, the more you prove to yourself that you are moving in the right direction. And the more progress you make, the more you build your confidence, your resilience, and your ability to handle challenges. Action is a self-reinforcing cycle. The more you do, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more you achieve. You see, progress doesn't always show up in a grand, obvious way. It doesn't always come with fanfare and celebration. Often, progress is quiet. It's the small, consistent actions that accumulate over time. It's the little wins, the steady effort, and the persistence that eventually lead to the big breakthroughs. But none of that happens without action. If you want to see the results, you need to take the first step, even if it's imperfect, even if it's small, even if you don't have it all figured out yet. The most successful people in the world didn't get to where they are by waiting for the perfect moment. They didn't sit around trying to get everything just right before they acted. They took action, and then let their progress speak for itself. They trusted that by taking consistent, deliberate steps, they would move closer to their goals, even if the road was messy and full of setbacks along the way. One of the key reasons why taking action is so important is because it builds clarity. Many people sit and wait for clarity before they act. They believe that once they know exactly what to do, once they have everything figured out, then they can move forward. But that's the wrong approach. The truth is, clarity comes through action. The more you act, the clearer things become. You start to see what works and what doesn't. You start to figure out the right direction, the right pace, and the right course of action. But you don't get that clarity by sitting still. You get it by doing, by making mistakes, by learning, and by adjusting as you go. So, how do you take action in a way that lets progress speak for itself? First, Stop waiting for the perfect moment. There will never be a perfect moment. The moment you are waiting for will never arrive. The only moment you have is now. Don't waste it. Don't hold off until you feel ready, because you'll never feel ready. Just start. Take the first step, no matter how small, and trust that progress will follow. Second, don't worry about making everything perfect. You don't need to have all the details figured out. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to take action. Imperfect action is still action, and it's far more valuable than no action at all. Understand that mistakes will happen, setbacks will occur, and things will not go as planned, but that's part of the process. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. So take action without fear of failure. Accept that mistakes will be a part of the journey, and use them as stepping stones to move forward. Next, focus on consistency. Action isn't just about taking one big step. It's about taking small steps, day after day, week after week. Consistency is what builds momentum and leads to long-term results. The key to making progress is showing up every day, doing the work, and staying committed to your goals. It's not about one grand action. It's about showing up and taking action consistently, even when you don't feel like it, even when it's hard, and even when you don't see immediate results. Another important element of taking action is self-discipline. There will be times when you don't feel motivated, when you don't feel inspired, when it seems easier to put things off. But you have to push through that. You have to take action anyway. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline is what keeps you moving forward, even when the excitement fades. Discipline is what helps you stay on track, make progress, and reach your goals, even when it's tough. Finally, don't compare your progress to others. It's easy to get caught up in looking at where other people are and feeling discouraged because you're not there yet. But that's a trap. Everyone's journey is different. Everyone moves at their own pace. The only comparison that matters is comparing yourself to who you were yesterday. Focus on your own progress. Celebrate every step you take, no matter how small. Keep your eyes on your own path, and trust that if you keep taking action, your progress will speak for itself. Taking action and letting progress speak for itself is a mindset that will serve you well throughout your life. It's about understanding that the road to success is not a straight line. It's full of twists, turns, challenges, and setbacks. But as long as you keep moving forward, as long as you keep taking action, you will get there. And one day, when you look back, you'll see that the progress you've made, no matter how small, has brought you further than you ever thought possible. So take action, let progress speak for itself, and trust that every step you take, no matter how small, is moving you closer to your goal. Progress is the result of action. Keep taking action, and let your results speak for themselves. Number 5. Commit to progress over perfection every single day. Committing to progress over perfection every single day is a choice you must make if you want to achieve lasting success. It's a commitment that demands focus, dedication, and consistency. But it's also the key to unlocking your potential and becoming the best version of yourself. Perfectionism is a trap. It's a mindset that holds you back, making you believe that you have to get everything just right before you can take action. But here's the reality. Perfection doesn't exist, and waiting for it will only prevent you from moving forward. The truth is, progress is far more powerful than perfection, and committing to progress every single day will change the way you approach life and your goals. When you commit to progress over perfection, you shift your mindset from one of fear to one of growth. Perfectionism often stems from a fear of failure or a fear of being judged. It's the belief that if you're not perfect, you're not good enough. This belief can hold you hostage, causing you to procrastinate, second-guess yourself, and avoid taking risks. But the truth is, progress is what leads to improvement, not perfection. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a step closer to your goals. When you focus on progress instead of perfection, you free yourself from the burden of unrealistic expectations. The first step in committing to progress over perfection is accepting that you won't always get it right. It's okay to make mistakes. In fact, mistakes are an essential part of growth. You can't learn without them. You can't improve without failing along the way. Every failure is an opportunity to learn, to adjust, and to move forward with more knowledge and experience. Instead of fearing mistakes, embrace them. Accept that they are a natural part of the process, and use them to fuel your progress. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with perfectionism is that they set unattainable standards for themselves. They believe they must be flawless in everything they do, whether it's their work, their relationships, or their personal lives. This belief creates an overwhelming pressure that can lead to burnout, anxiety, and even paralysis. But when you commit to progress, you give yourself permission to be imperfect. You give yourself the freedom to take small steps every day, without the need to be perfect in every moment. This shift in mindset is liberating. It allows you to move forward with confidence, knowing that each step, no matter how small, is a victory in itself. Another key aspect of committing to progress over perfection is consistency. It's not about making huge leaps every single day. It's about showing up every day and taking action. No matter how small, consistency is what creates lasting change. It's the small daily efforts that add up over time and lead to significant results. When you commit to progress every day, you're building momentum, and momentum is what drives success. It's much easier to keep moving forward when you've already made progress, no matter how incremental. The more you commit to taking action every day, the more you build a positive feedback loop of progress that pushes you forward. However, committing to progress is not just about taking action. It's about being intentional with your actions. It's about setting clear goals and working toward them every day, even when you don't feel like it. There will be days when motivation is low, when the road feels long, and when the results are not immediately apparent. But on those days, commitment is what matters most. It's the ability to push through the challenges, to stay focused on your goal, and to keep moving forward, no matter what. When you commit to progress, you become relentless in your pursuit of growth. A big part of committing to progress over perfection is also understanding that progress doesn't always look the way you expect. It's not always linear. Some days will feel like setbacks, while other days will feel like breakthroughs. That's normal. But as long as you continue to make progress, no matter how small, you're moving in the right direction. The key is to keep going, even when progress feels slow or invisible. Trust that each step is taking you closer to where you want to be. It's easy to get discouraged when you don't see immediate results. But the reality is that progress often comes in waves. Sometimes the small steps you take today will lead to significant breakthroughs tomorrow. Another important aspect of committing to progress is being kind to yourself along the way. We all have moments of self-doubt, frustration, and discouragement. It's part of being human. But when you're committed to progress, you give yourself grace. You allow yourself to make mistakes, to learn from them, and to move forward with a renewed sense of purpose. You don't beat yourself up for not being perfect. Instead, you celebrate your progress and use it as motivation to keep going. Self-compassion is essential in the journey of progress. It's what helps you stay resilient when faced with challenges, and it's what keeps you focused on your growth rather than your perceived flaws. Committing to progress over perfection also means letting go of the need for external validation. Too often we look to others for approval or recognition. We want to be praised for our efforts, to be told that we're doing it right. But the reality is that true progress comes from within. It comes from the satisfaction of knowing that you're doing the best you can, regardless of what anyone else thinks. When you commit to progress, you take ownership of your journey. You stop seeking validation from others and start focusing on your own growth. This shift in mindset is empowering because it puts you in control of your own success. It's also important to note that when you commit to progress, you stop comparing yourself to others. It's easy to get caught up in the success of those around you and feel like you're falling behind. But comparison is the thief of joy. When you compare your progress to someone else's, you lose sight of your own path. You forget that everyone has their own unique journey, and that your success is not dependent on someone else's. Commit to your own progress, and trust that you are on the right path, at your own pace. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is the person you were yesterday. Focus on being better than you were yesterday, and the rest will fall into place. The beauty of committing to progress over perfection is that it frees you from the pressure to be perfect. It allows you to be human. It gives you the freedom to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow. It teaches you that success is not about being flawless, but about being persistent, about continuing to take action every day, no matter how small. When you focus on progress, you stop waiting for the perfect moment to start. You stop trying to get everything right before you take action. You just start, you keep moving forward, and you trust that each step is a step closer to your goal. So, how do you commit to progress over perfection every single day? It starts with making the decision to let go of perfectionism. It starts with accepting that you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing to take consistent action, to keep moving forward, and to keep learning. It's about being patient with yourself and trusting that progress will come, even if it's slow. It's about focusing on what you can control, your actions, and letting go of what you can't. It's about setting clear goals, working toward them every day, and celebrating every small win along the way. When you commit to progress over perfection, you're not just setting yourself up for success, you're also setting yourself up for a life of fulfillment and growth. You're choosing to prioritize improvement over impossible standards. You're choosing to show up every day, to keep learning, and to keep growing. And that is the key to a life of purpose, achievement, and lasting success. So commit to progress today, choose action over perfection, and watch as your life begins to transform. Number 6. Trust the process and stay focused on your growth. Trusting the process is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself on the journey of personal growth. Far too often, people become discouraged when they don't see immediate results or when the path seems longer than they anticipated. But the reality is that growth takes time. It's a gradual process that requires patience, perseverance, and a deep trust in the journey. When you trust the process, you stop chasing instant gratification and start focusing on long-term results. You stop worrying about whether things are happening fast enough and start recognizing that consistent effort over time will always yield results. The first thing you need to understand is that the process isn't always going to be easy. It's going to come with challenges, setbacks, and frustrations. There will be moments when you question whether it's worth it, whether it's even working. But these are the moments that test your commitment to growth. These are the moments when you need to dig deep and remind yourself that progress isn't always linear, it's rarely a straight line. There will be ups and downs, highs and lows, but when you trust the process, you trust that every step, every struggle, and every setback is part of the growth. Too often, we get caught up in the idea that if we don't see immediate results, we're failing. This belief can cause us to give up too soon, to abandon the process before we've given it a chance to work. But success doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of consistent effort, small steps, and a willingness to keep going even when things feel tough. When you stay focused on your growth and trust that the process will lead you to where you want to be, you can keep going, even when you don't see instant results. You'll have the resilience to stay in the game long enough to see the fruit of your efforts. Trusting the process also means letting go of the need to control every outcome. Far too often, we want to dictate exactly how things should unfold, when they should unfold, and in what manner. But the truth is, you can't control everything. There are elements of the process that are beyond your control, and that's okay. Trusting the process means accepting that you can only control your actions and your mindset. You can't control the timing or the exact path. But you can control how you show up, how consistent you are, and how much effort you put into the process. When you let go of the need to control the outcomes, you free yourself to focus on what truly matters: your growth. One of the most powerful ways to stay focused on your growth is to set clear goals. When you have a clear vision of where you're going, it becomes easier to stay on track, even when things don't seem to be progressing as quickly as you'd like. Goals give you direction and purpose. They help you stay focused on the bigger picture, rather than getting caught up in the small details or temporary setbacks. But remember, goals are just the destination. The process, the journey, is where the real growth happens. Don't become so fixated on the end result that you forget to appreciate the lessons you're learning along the way. It's also essential to recognize that growth doesn't always look like what you expect. Sometimes, progress is subtle. Sometimes, it's not immediately visible. But trust that every effort you make is contributing to your growth, even when it feels like nothing is changing. This is where the power of consistency comes in. When you stay consistent, even when you don't see immediate results, you're building momentum. Momentum is what drives progress. It's what keeps you going when things get tough. Even on the days when you feel like you're not making progress, if you keep showing up and doing the work, you're building momentum that will eventually lead to breakthroughs. As you trust the process, you also need to be open to feedback. Growth isn't a one-way street. It's not just about you putting in the effort. It's about being willing to learn from your mistakes, to adjust your approach when necessary, and to take constructive criticism to heart. Feedback, whether it's from others or from your own experiences, is a valuable tool for growth. When you trust the process, you trust that the feedback you receive will help you become better. It's not about taking things personally or feeling defeated. It's about using feedback as a guide to improve, adjust, and keep moving forward. Trusting the process also means practicing patience. This is one of the hardest aspects of personal growth because we live in a world where everything is instant. We can get answers in seconds, food in minutes, and communication in real time. But growth doesn't work on that same timeline. It takes time to develop new skills, to change habits, and to make progress in any area of your life. It's easy to become frustrated when you don't see quick results, but patience is a virtue that will serve you well on this journey. Understand that growth takes time and that every effort you make is a step toward the person you want to become. Another key aspect of trusting the process is maintaining a positive mindset. When things aren't going as planned, it's easy to become negative and start doubting yourself. But negativity only holds you back. A positive mindset is essential for staying focused on your growth. It's about focusing on what you can control, celebrating the small wins, and believing in the process, even when things don't seem perfect. Positivity doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending that everything is fine. It means maintaining the belief that things will get better and that every challenge is an opportunity to learn and grow. To trust the process, you also need to be committed to learning. Growth is about learning new things, challenging your assumptions, and expanding your knowledge and skills. Trust the process of learning, even when it feels uncomfortable or difficult. The process of learning can be challenging at times, but it's what will ultimately lead to your growth. Embrace the discomfort of learning and trust that it will pay off in the long run. There will be times when the process feels slow and you'll question whether you're on the right path. But trust that the process is working, even if you can't see it. When you trust the process, you trust that everything you're doing is contributing to your growth, even if it doesn't seem like it in the moment. Trusting the process means having faith that you're exactly where you need to be, even if the road ahead looks uncertain. You don't need to see the entire path laid out in front of you. You just need to take one step at a time, trusting that each step will bring you closer to your goal. As you trust the process, remember that it's not just about the destination, it's about the person you become along the way. Growth isn't just about achieving your goals, it's about becoming a better version of yourself. The process is what shapes you, what teaches you, and what transforms you into the person capable of achieving everything you want. So stay focused on your growth, trust the process, and know that the journey itself is just as important as the destination. When you trust the process, you empower yourself to keep going, to keep growing, and to keep becoming the best version of yourself. Number 7. Break free from perfectionism and move forward confidently. Perfectionism is one of the most insidious roadblocks to success. It creeps into every area of life, making us hesitate, overthink, and constantly delay moving forward. Perfectionism convinces us that, unless everything is flawless, it's not worth doing. And as a result, we often end up stuck, unable to take the first step, paralyzed by the idea that our work must be perfect before it sees the light of day. This mindset, while it may seem admirable on the surface, is a major barrier to progress and personal growth. It keeps us from moving forward, from taking action, and from making the changes that we want to see in our lives. When you're caught in the trap of perfectionism, you become obsessed with details that don't matter. You lose sight of the bigger picture, because you're too focused on trying to make everything just right. You become your own worst critic, finding fault in every decision and every step you take. This constant striving for perfection leads to a cycle of frustration and stagnation. And let me tell you, it's a cycle that you can break. It starts with accepting that perfection is a myth, a story we tell ourselves to delay action and avoid vulnerability. The truth is, perfection doesn't exist. No matter how hard you try, you will never achieve it. And that's okay. The key is to let go of that need for everything to be perfect and focus on making progress instead. It's crucial to understand that progress is what moves you forward, not perfection. You don't need everything to be flawless in order to take that first step. You don't need to have every detail figured out. The most important thing is that you start. Progress is about taking action, even when things aren't perfect, even when you don't have all the answers. When you allow yourself to focus on progress instead of perfection, you free yourself from the suffocating pressure of trying to be perfect. You give yourself permission to be imperfect, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. And most importantly, you give yourself permission to move forward, even if it's not in the way you originally imagined. One of the first steps in breaking free from perfectionism is to change the way you view failure. Failure isn't the enemy, it's an essential part of the learning process. When you embrace failure as a teacher, rather than something to fear, you begin to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing mistakes as signs of inadequacy, you start to see them as opportunities for growth. You start to understand that failing is simply a step in the journey toward success. This shift in mindset is what frees you from the grip of perfectionism. When you no longer fear failure, you can move forward confidently, knowing that mistakes are just a part of the process. Another important step is to set realistic expectations for yourself. Perfectionism thrives on unrealistic expectations. You set standards that are so high that no one, not even the most accomplished person, could meet them consistently. These unrealistic expectations lead to constant self-criticism and disappointment. But when you set realistic, achievable goals, you give yourself the space to grow without the weight of perfectionism holding you back. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to make steady, consistent progress. By setting realistic expectations, you remove the pressure to be flawless and create a more forgiving and productive environment for yourself. You also need to shift your focus from the outcome to the process. Perfectionism often forces us to focus solely on the end result. We become so fixated on achieving a perfect outcome that we forget about the journey itself. But real growth happens in the process, not just in the result. When you focus on progress over perfection, you become more concerned with the steps you're taking, the lessons you're learning, and the growth you're experiencing along the way. You stop obsessing over how things should turn out and start appreciating the work that goes into getting there. It's the process that builds your character, your resilience, and your skills. The outcome will come, but it's the work you do every day that truly shapes who you are. It's important to recognize that perfectionism is rooted in fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. These fears can paralyze you, making it impossible to take the risks necessary for growth. But when you break free from perfectionism, you break free from these fears. You stop allowing fear to control your actions and start making decisions based on your desire to grow, learn, and improve. You stop worrying about what others think or whether your work is perfect. Instead, you focus on taking action, trusting the process, and making progress, no matter how imperfect it may seem. Confidence is built through action, not through perfection. The more you take action, the more confident you become. But when you're trapped in perfectionism, you hesitate to act, and that hesitation only leads to self-doubt. When you embrace progress over perfection, you build confidence because you're constantly moving forward. Each step you take, even if it's imperfect, is a step in the right direction. The more you act, the more you learn, and the more you grow. And as you grow, your confidence will naturally increase. Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you create through consistent action. Moving forward confidently also means letting go of comparison. Perfectionism often thrives in environments where we constantly compare ourselves to others. We look at the success of those around us and think, I should be there too. But comparing yourself to others is a surefire way to stay stuck in perfectionism. No one's journey is the same. Everyone has their own pace, their own set of challenges, and their own path. When you stop comparing yourself to others and start focusing on your own progress, you break free from the need to be perfect and allow yourself to grow at your own pace. It's your journey, and it's okay if it doesn't look like anyone else's. Breaking free from perfectionism doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to embrace imperfection. But the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. The key is to stay committed to making progress, no matter how small. Every step you take toward progress is a step away from perfectionism. With each action, you build momentum, and with momentum comes the confidence to keep going. Let go of the idea that you need to be perfect. Let go of the pressure to always get it right. Focus on the small steps, the wins and the growth. Trust that progress is enough, that progress is powerful, and that it's the only thing that will truly move you forward. When you embrace progress over perfection, you open yourself up to endless possibilities. You free yourself from fear, self-doubt, and the crippling weight of perfectionism. You start to take action, move forward confidently, and create a life that's filled with growth, achievement, and satisfaction. Perfectionism may try to hold you back, but with every small step you take, you break free from its grip. You are capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for. Trust in your ability to make progress, to improve with each step, and to move forward with confidence. Don't let perfectionism keep you stuck. Move forward, take action, and know that you're on the right path. Keep growing, keep learning, and keep taking those steps toward your goals. The journey is worth it, and the progress you make along the way is what truly matters. Number 8. Prioritize progress and silence the voice of perfection. Perfectionism can be one of the most paralyzing forces in life. It's the voice that tells you your work isn't good enough. It's the feeling that if you can't do something perfectly, it's not worth doing at all. This kind of thinking leads to self-doubt, hesitation, and ultimately inaction. When perfection is your standard, you get stuck in a loop of constantly trying to get everything just right. But what you need to realize is that perfection doesn't serve you. Progress does. The key to overcoming perfectionism and achieving your goals is to prioritize progress and silence the voice of perfection. It starts with understanding that perfection is an illusion. There's no such thing as perfect. No matter how hard you try, there will always be room for improvement. The truth is that waiting for perfection is just another form of procrastination. It keeps you from moving forward and prevents you from achieving the growth you're capable of. Every time you listen to the voice of perfection, you delay progress, but when you prioritize progress, you begin to see the bigger picture. Progress is what moves you forward, step by step. It's the small wins that add up over time, and those wins are what build the momentum you need to achieve your long-term goals. The first step in prioritizing progress is to take action, even if it's imperfect. Waiting for everything to be flawless is a trap. You don't need everything to be perfect in order to start moving forward. You don't need to have all the answers. All you need to do is take that first step and then keep moving. The more action you take, the more momentum you build. Each action, no matter how small, brings you closer to where you want to be. And with every step you take, you learn something new. Even mistakes are valuable because they show you what doesn't work, which is just as important as discovering what does work. Perfectionism thrives in the absence of action. When you don't act, when you wait for things to be just right, you feed the belief that perfection is necessary. But the truth is, you don't need perfection to make progress. You need courage, consistency, and a willingness to learn. You need the belief that taking action is more important than making everything perfect. The more you prioritize progress, the less control perfectionism has over you. You stop waiting for the perfect moment, and instead you create opportunities by simply showing up and doing the work. Another crucial step is to redefine what success looks like. Success is not about doing everything perfectly, it's about progress. Success is about showing up every day, putting in the effort, and moving closer to your goals. Success is the accumulation of small wins over time. Every time you take a step forward, you are succeeding. Perfectionism, on the other hand, focuses on an unattainable ideal. It makes you think that you must have it all figured out before you can begin. But progress is a journey, and success is about making consistent forward motion. When you focus on progress, you free yourself from the paralyzing pressure of perfectionism. Let's be clear. Striving for excellence is not the same as striving for perfection. Excellence is about doing your best and continuously improving. Perfection, however, is a moving target. It's the belief that if it's not flawless, it's not good enough. Excellence is empowering because it focuses on your growth and improvement, while perfection keeps you stuck in a place of dissatisfaction. Excellence celebrates progress. Perfectionism hinders it. When you prioritize progress, you shift your focus from being perfect to doing your best, and that makes all the difference. Part of silencing the voice of perfection is changing your mindset around mistakes. Mistakes are not failures. They are lessons. Each mistake teaches you something valuable about yourself and your process. When you embrace mistakes as part of the learning curve, you remove the fear of imperfection that perfectionism thrives on. Mistakes become stepping stones, not roadblocks. When you prioritize progress, mistakes no longer feel like setbacks. They become essential to your growth. You begin to see them as opportunities to refine your skills and improve your approach. Another important aspect of silencing the voice of perfection is learning to manage your expectations. Perfectionism often stems from setting unrealistic expectations. You believe that you must do everything perfectly, and if you fall short, you feel like a failure. But realistic expectations allow you to be kinder to yourself. When you understand that progress is the goal, and that improvement is a constant journey, you free yourself from the need to be perfect. You give yourself permission to make mistakes and to keep moving forward, no matter how imperfect the journey may seem. You must also surround yourself with a supportive environment that values progress over perfection. Perfectionism can often be reinforced by the people around you, those who expect the best at all times and criticize when things aren't flawless. But when you surround yourself with people who celebrate effort, consistency, and growth, you build a culture of progress. You start to understand that it's okay to make mistakes, as long as you're learning and improving along the way. These people will encourage you to take risks, make progress, and continue striving for your goals, without the fear of imperfection holding you back. One powerful tool in silencing the voice of perfection is setting small, achievable goals. Perfectionism makes everything feel overwhelming. You think you have to do it all at once, and that leads to stress and burnout. But when you break things down into small, manageable tasks, you create a clear path to progress. You stop worrying about whether everything is perfect and start focusing on completing the next step. Each small goal you accomplish brings you closer to your bigger vision, and each small win builds your confidence and motivation. By focusing on small steps, you take the power away from perfectionism and give yourself the space to succeed. Another way to prioritize progress is by focusing on the process, not just the result. Perfectionism is fixated on the end goal, but progress happens in the work, in the process. When you embrace the journey, you let go of the pressure to be perfect. You start to find joy in the process, in the small actions that lead to the big results. The more you focus on the process, the less room there is for perfectionism to take hold. You start to see that progress is what matters, not perfection. When you're fully engaged in the process, the results will follow naturally. One of the most powerful ways to silence perfectionism is to practice self-compassion. Perfectionism often thrives in an environment of harsh self-criticism. You judge yourself too harshly, expecting perfection in everything you do. But when you practice self-compassion, you allow yourself to be human. You understand that it's okay to fall short, and you treat yourself with kindness when you do. Self-compassion creates an environment of growth and progress, where imperfection is not only accepted but embraced. When you treat yourself with compassion, you create the mental space to keep moving forward, no matter how imperfect the journey may seem. To prioritize progress, you must also learn to celebrate the small victories. When you focus on progress, you recognize that every step forward is a success, no matter how small. Each action, no matter how minor, brings you closer to your goal. By celebrating these small victories, you create positive reinforcement that keeps you motivated. The more you celebrate progress, the more you reinforce the mindset that it's not perfection that matters, but consistent forward movement. Finally, silencing the voice of perfection is about letting go of the need for external validation. Perfectionism thrives when we seek approval from others. We want to be seen as flawless, to be admired for our achievements. But when you let go of the need for external validation and focus on your own growth, you free yourself from the pressure of perfectionism. You understand that your worth is not tied to being perfect, but to the effort you put in, the progress you make, and the person you're becoming along the way. When you prioritize progress, you take control of your journey. You stop letting perfectionism hold you back, and start moving forward, step by step. You stop waiting for the perfect moment, and start creating opportunities. You stop comparing yourself to others, and focus on your own path. You let go of the need to be perfect, and embrace the process of growth. Every step you take, no matter how imperfect, is a victory. Keep moving forward, and the progress you make will speak for itself. The journey is not about perfection, it's about progress, and when you focus on that, there's nothing stopping you from achieving your dreams. Number 9. Conquer your doubts and focus on small improvements. Doubts are something we all face. They creep in when you're about to take a step forward. They whisper in your ear, telling you that you're not good enough, that you're not ready, that you're not capable. These doubts can hold you back, freeze you in place, and stop you from moving forward. But here's the truth. Your doubts are just distractions. They don't define who you are or what you're capable of. They are not the reality of your potential. They are just temporary, fleeting thoughts. The key to overcoming them is simple. Focus on small improvements, take consistent action, and build momentum. When you begin to conquer your doubts, you stop letting them control your decisions. You stop letting them dictate your actions and prevent you from taking the next step. You start realizing that doubts are just part of the process. They don't mean you're incapable. They mean you're challenging yourself, pushing yourself to grow, and that is where progress begins. It's easy to get caught up in the big picture, to look at the huge task ahead and feel overwhelmed by it. When you do this, doubts often rush in. You start to think, how can I ever accomplish all of this? Or what if I fail? But if you can shift your focus from the large, overwhelming goal to small, manageable steps, you take away the power of those doubts. Instead of looking at the mountain, look at the next step in front of you. Focus on what you can do right now, today, to move forward. Start small. Start with one action, one improvement at a time. The key to overcoming doubt isn't to make massive changes all at once. It's to make consistent small improvements. These small steps create momentum. They make the path forward seem less daunting. And with every small victory, your confidence grows, and your doubts lose their grip on you. The more progress you make, the less room there is for doubt. Remember, it's the consistency that counts. Perfection is not the goal. Progress is. And the only way to make progress is by taking small, continuous steps. Each small improvement is a win, and that's what matters. Each day you show up, you become a little better than you were the day before. With every improvement, your doubts begin to fade into the background, and your confidence begins to rise. Focus on what you can control. Doubts often arise when we think too far ahead, when we focus on things outside of our control. Instead of worrying about what might go wrong, focus on the small, tangible actions you can take right now. Take responsibility for your actions, and embrace the process. You can control how much effort you put in today. You can control whether or not you take the next step. You can control how much you learn and grow. That's where your focus should be. The more you focus on the small actions, the less time you spend in doubt. Sometimes it's helpful to reframe your thinking. Instead of seeing doubts as obstacles, see them as signals that you're on the right track. Doubt often appears when you're stretching yourself beyond your comfort zone. It's a sign that you're growing, that you're taking risks, that you're moving towards something bigger. So, instead of letting it hold you back, use it as fuel to keep going. Doubt is only a problem when it stops you from taking action. When you embrace it as part of the growth process, you can move past it with confidence. Another way to conquer your doubts is to remind yourself of past successes. Think about times in your life when you've overcome challenges, when you've pushed through doubts and fear to achieve something meaningful. Reflect on how you felt when you accomplished something that once seemed impossible. Remember that feeling of pride, of strength, of knowing that you had the courage to push through. Those moments are proof of what you're capable of. When doubts arise, remember that you've faced challenges before and come out on top. This will help you trust yourself and your ability to move forward, no matter how big the doubts may seem. It's also important to remember that doubts are not a reflection of your worth. They don't define who you are. They are simply thoughts, and like all thoughts, they can be changed. You have the power to control your mindset. If you allow yourself to get caught up in your doubts, you will remain stuck. But if you choose to focus on small improvements, on the next step forward, you break free from the cycle of doubt. When you focus on what you can do today, you stop worrying about what you haven't done yet. You stop worrying about what could go wrong, and instead you focus on what you can do right now to move closer to your goals. That is how progress happens. A critical part of overcoming doubt is accepting that failure is part of the process. When you allow yourself to fail without judgment, you take away the power of doubt. Failure is not a reflection of your abilities. It's simply feedback. It shows you where you need to adjust and improve. Instead of doubting yourself after a setback, use it as an opportunity to learn. Failures give you valuable insights that can help you grow stronger and more capable. Every time you fail and keep going, you prove to yourself that you are resilient, that you are committed to progress, and that you will not let doubt control your future. You must also build a habit of positive self-talk. Your internal dialogue has a powerful impact on your mindset. When you listen to your doubts, they grow louder. But when you challenge those doubts with positive affirmations, they lose their power. Remind yourself every day of your strengths, your abilities, and the progress you've already made. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a friend who was struggling. Be kind to yourself. Encourage yourself. Recognize the small improvements and celebrate them. Positive self-talk can help you push through doubts and stay focused on progress. Another powerful strategy for conquering doubt is to surround yourself with people who encourage you. When you're trying to make progress, it's important to be around people who lift you up and believe in your potential. The more you're around people who focus on growth and improvement, the less power your doubts will have. Surround yourself with those who celebrate progress, who embrace imperfection, and who understand that success is a journey, not a destination. These people will help you stay motivated, focused, and determined. They'll remind you that your doubts are temporary and that you're capable of much more than you realize. Additionally, you should keep track of your progress. The more you focus on improvement, the more you'll begin to notice how far you've come. Document your achievements, no matter how small. This will serve as a reminder of what you're capable of and help you build confidence. When doubts arise, look back at what you've accomplished. You'll see that every small step forward counts, and you'll be reminded that you are moving in the right direction. Progress is not always immediately visible, but when you track your improvements, you see the bigger picture and realize how much you've grown. Conquering doubt is a process. It's not something that happens overnight, but it's something that you can master. The more you focus on small improvements, the less power your doubts will have. The more action you take, the more confidence you'll build. The more you surround yourself with positivity and support, the easier it will be to keep moving forward. Don't let your doubts stop you. Let them be a sign that you're pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone and growing into the person you're meant to be. Remember, progress is what matters. Every small improvement you make is a step forward. Every time you conquer your doubts, you get closer to the life you want. Doubts may always be there, but they don't have to control you. You have the power to push past them, to focus on what you can do today, and to make progress every single day. Keep moving forward, and before you know it, those doubts will be a distant memory. Your journey will be marked by your growth, your persistence, and the small improvements that over time will add up to something extraordinary. Number 10. Value progress over perfection in every decision you make. It's a word that holds power. It sounds beautiful, doesn't it? We all have this innate desire to reach it, to perfect every single detail of what we do, to get everything just right. But let me ask you a question. What happens when you get stuck in the pursuit of perfection? What happens when you let that ideal become the standard for every decision you make? The answer is simple. You become paralyzed. You begin to delay taking action because you're waiting for everything to be perfect. You miss opportunities because you're too focused on fixing every little thing. Perfection is an illusion. It's an endless chase that never truly satisfies. The key to moving forward, to making real progress in your life, is to value progress over perfection in every decision you make. The truth is, no matter how hard you try, perfection will never be fully within your reach. You might get close, but there will always be room for improvement. The problem is that perfection doesn't allow room for growth. If you demand perfection in every area of your life, you will always be focused on what isn't working yet, instead of celebrating the progress you've made. When you value progress, however, you start to see every step forward as a victory. You start to appreciate the small improvements, the things that make you better, stronger, and more capable. Valuing progress doesn't mean you abandon high standards. It doesn't mean you stop striving for excellence. What it means is that you prioritize action, effort, and continuous improvement, rather than getting stuck in the pursuit of a perfect outcome. Perfectionism is about trying to get everything exactly right before you move forward. Progress, on the other hand, is about taking that next step, even if it's not perfect, and trusting that the small improvements will add up over time. When you make decisions based on progress, you take the pressure off yourself. You stop worrying about whether things are perfect. Instead, you focus on moving forward, on doing what you can right now and improving as you go. You understand that each action, even if it's not flawless, gets you closer to where you want to be. The small steps you take each day matter more than waiting for everything to align perfectly. The key is to keep going, to embrace the process of growth, and to value the progress you're making along the way. So how do you start valuing progress over perfection in your everyday decisions? It starts with letting go of the need to control everything. When you make decisions from a place of perfectionism, you often try to control every aspect of the outcome. You think you need to plan every move, analyze every detail, and ensure that everything is aligned before you take action. But life doesn't work that way. Sometimes, the best decision you can make is simply to take that first step, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it's not perfect. Every decision you make is an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve. By making progress your focus, you give yourself permission to be imperfect. You also need to start accepting mistakes as part of the journey. Perfectionists often see mistakes as failures, but mistakes are actually the stepping stones to progress. They provide valuable lessons. When you value progress over perfection, you stop fearing mistakes. You start to see them as opportunities to grow, to refine your approach, and to learn. Every time you make a mistake and keep moving forward, you build resilience. You prove to yourself that it's not about getting everything right, but about getting better each time. Mistakes don't define you. Your ability to learn from them and keep going does. One of the most powerful ways to prioritize progress over perfection is to set realistic expectations. If you set yourself up for perfection, you're always going to be disappointed. No matter how much you strive for perfection, you'll always find something that could have been better. But if you set goals based on progress, you create space for growth. You understand that improvement is a process and that each step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goals. This shift in mindset helps you stay motivated and focused on what really matters: the work you're doing, the progress you're making, and the person you're becoming along the way. It's also crucial to let go of comparison. When you focus on perfection, you often measure your progress against others. You compare your efforts to someone else's seemingly flawless results and think you fall short. But comparison is a thief of joy and productivity. It keeps you stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and frustration. The truth is, everyone's journey is different, and the only person you should be comparing yourself to is the person you were yesterday. If you're making progress, no matter how small, that's all that matters. Focus on your own journey and celebrate your improvements instead of getting caught up in what others are doing. Another important aspect of valuing progress over perfection is developing patience. Perfectionists often have high expectations for themselves, and they want results quickly. They expect to see instant success, but success doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, effort, and persistence. Progress requires patience. It's about trusting the process and understanding that growth happens gradually. Every small action you take today will compound over time, and those incremental improvements will lead to big results in the future. Be patient with yourself and recognize that success is not a sprint, but a marathon. Taking consistent action is also essential. Progress doesn't happen if you're not actively working toward your goals. Perfectionism can sometimes cause you to procrastinate, waiting for the right moment to take action. But the right moment will never come. You have to create it. By taking small actions every day, no matter how imperfect they may seem, you're making progress. The key is consistency. When you consistently take action, you build momentum. Momentum fuels progress, and progress fuels confidence. Over time, those small actions will add up, and you'll look back and realize just how far you've come. Lastly, it's important to surround yourself with people who support your focus on progress. People who are stuck in perfectionism often try to impose their standards on others. They expect everything to be flawless, and that can make it hard for those around them to take action or make progress. Surround yourself with people who celebrate small victories, who understand that progress is what leads to success. These people will encourage you to keep going. Even when things aren't perfect, they'll remind you that it's okay to make mistakes and that it's the journey, not the destination, that matters most. In every decision you make, ask yourself, is this helping me make progress, or am I waiting for things to be perfect before I act? Every time you choose progress over perfection, you take one more step toward your goals. You stop waiting for the perfect moment, and you start creating your own momentum. Progress is what will lead you to success, not perfection. Perfection is a trap, a moving target that keeps you stuck. But progress is real. It's tangible. It's what you can measure every day. In the end, perfection is not what makes you successful. It's the progress, the persistence, and the small improvements that you make along the way. So start today. Start valuing progress over perfection in every decision you make. Embrace imperfection, take action, and trust the process. The journey may not be perfect, but it will be meaningful. And in the end, it's the progress you make, not the perfection you achieve, that will define your success.